Anchoring. You walk into a car dealership wanting to buy a new SUV. The salesman smiles and says, "This model usually goes for $48,000, but for you I can do $45,900 today." Just like that, your brain now sees $45,900 as a good deal, even if you originally wanted to spend only $38,000. That's the power of anchoring. A friend of mine once used this tactic when selling his apartment. Instead of listing it at $320,000, what he actually wanted, he listed it at $379,000. Buyers came in thinking they were getting a bargain when they negotiated him down to $335,000. He walked away with $15,000 more than his real target because he set the anchor high. You can use anchoring everywhere. When asking for a raise, don't say, "I was hoping for $5,000 more." Say, "Given my results this year, I believe $8,000 more reflects my value." When selling something, name a higher price first. When buying, throw out a lower number first. The first number that enters the conversation becomes the reference point. Everything after that is judged against it. Now that's anchoring. Mirroring. A top FBI hostage negotiator once faced a man who had taken his own family hostage. The situation was extremely tense. Instead of arguing or making demands, the negotiator simply repeated the man's own words back to him. The man shouted, "I can't take this anymore." The negotiator calmly replied, "You can't take this anymore?" The man paused, then started opening up. He talked about his problems, his fears, and what he really wanted. Within hours, the hostage situation ended peacefully. That's the quiet power of mirroring. You can use this tactic in everyday life. Your boss says, "We don't have budget for raises this quarter." You mirror, "No budget for raises?" Suddenly, they explain more, maybe revealing the real reasons, constraints, or possible exceptions. A client says, "Your price is too high." You reply, "Too high?" They often continue talking and reveal what they're actually willing to pay or what they really value. Mirroring works because it makes the other person feel heard and understood. It encourages them to keep talking and give you more information without you revealing your own position. The trick is to repeat the last 2 to 4 words with a slight upward tone, like a gentle question. Don't overuse it. Use it at key moments when you want them to elaborate. Now that's mirroring. Labeling. The meeting was getting heated. Sarah wanted a 20% raise, but her boss was shutting her down. Instead of arguing, Sarah tried something different. She said calmly, "It seems like you're worried this raise would set a precedent for the whole team." Her boss paused. For the first time, he actually opened up. "Yeah, I'm concerned about fairness. If I give you 20%, others will expect the same." By labeling his emotion, Sarah lowered his defenses. She didn't fight his position. She showed she understood it. A few minutes later, they reached a compromise. A 14% raise plus performance bonuses. That's the power of labeling. Labeling means putting a name to the other person's feelings or concerns. You say things like "it sounds like," "it seems like," or "you're probably feeling." This simple technique makes people feel understood, which dramatically reduces resistance and makes them more willing to work with you. You can use labeling when negotiating salary, buying a car, dealing with difficult clients, or even in personal relationships. Instead of saying, "That's unfair," try "It seems like you feel this price is too high." Instead of arguing with your partner, say, "It looks like you're really frustrated right now." When people feel heard, they become much more open to solutions. BATNA. A young entrepreneur was about to sign a contract with a big investor. The deal looked good on paper, but something felt off. Instead of rushing to sign, he spent 2 days quietly talking to 2 other investors. By the time he returned to the table, he had 2 strong backup offers. When the original investor tried to push for more equity, the entrepreneur calmly said, "I understand your position, but I have other offers I'm comfortable with." The investor immediately improved the terms. That's the power of BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. BATNA is your safety net. It's knowing exactly what you will do if the current deal falls through. The stronger your BATNA, the more confident and powerful you become in any negotiation. Before any important negotiation, salary discussion, business deal, or even buying a house, ask yourself, what's my best option if this doesn't work out? The more alternatives you have, the less desperate you appear and the better terms you can demand. Weak BATNA equals desperation. Strong BATNA equals leverage. Always build your alternatives before you negotiate. Talk to other clients, get competing quotes, or line up other job offers. The moment the other side senses you have strong options, their behavior usually changes in your favor. Never negotiate without knowing your BATNA. The flinch. The room went silent. The seller had just named his price, $285,000 for the used truck. Without saying a word, the buyer's eyes widened. He physically leaned back and let out a sharp breath while shaking his head. That single reaction, the flinch, dropped the final price by $18,000. The flinch is one of the oldest and most effective negotiation tactics in the world. It's the immediate, visible reaction you show when someone gives you their first offer. A raised eyebrow, a slight head shake, a surprised expression, or even just a long pause. Your goal is simple. Make the other person feel that their offer is too high or too low. Most people hate awkward silence and tension. When they see you flinch, they often start discounting or justifying their price before you even say anything. I once watched a friend negotiate rent. The landlord proposed $2,200 per month. My friend flinched hard, looked genuinely shocked, and stayed completely quiet for about 8 seconds. The landlord got uncomfortable and quickly said, "Okay, maybe $2,050 is more reasonable." That's the beauty of the flinch. You don't need to argue or counteroffer immediately. Your body language and silence do the heavy lifting. Use it when buying a car, negotiating salary, haggling at markets, or discussing freelance rates. The stronger and more believable your flinch, the bigger the reaction you'll usually get. Just remember, the flinch works best on the very first offer. After that, it loses power. Master this one simple move, and you'll immediately start saving money and getting better deals. Bracketing. A friend of mine was selling his laptop worth around $850. When the buyer asked for the price, instead of saying $850, he said, "I'm thinking somewhere between $950 and $1,100. The buyer immediately countered with $800. My friend then replied, "How about $920? They settled at $870, $20 above his real target. That's called bracketing. Bracketing is the art of making two offers that bracket your real target price, one higher, one lower. By giving a range, you subtly pull the other person's expectations toward the middle of your bracket. You can use this tactic in almost any negotiation. When selling, say a higher range. When buying, offer a lower range. For example, if you want to buy something for $500, you might say, "I'm looking to spend between $420 and $480. This makes $460 feel like a fair compromise. The key is to make your range believable but slightly ambitious. If you set it too wide or unrealistic, you lose credibility. The beauty of bracketing is that it gives the other person the feeling that they're negotiating and winning, while you quietly guide them toward your desired number. Master bracketing, and you'll stop leaving money on the table. Nibbling. The deal was almost done. After weeks of negotiation, both sides had finally agreed on the price for the website. Just as they were about to shake hands, the buyer smiled and said, "Great. And you'll include the premium theme and 3 months of hosting for free, right?" That small extra request is called nibbling, asking for little concessions after the main agreement has been reached. Nibbling works because once people feel they've closed the deal, their mental guard goes down. They're more willing to give small extras to avoid losing the whole agreement. A few dollars here, free shipping there, an extended warranty, or an extra service. I once watched a friend buy a car. After agreeing on the price, he casually nibbled. "You'll fill up the tank before I drive it off, right? Then, and you'll include the winter mats? Then, can we add the extended warranty at no extra cost?" By the end, he walked away with over $1,200 in extra value. The key to using nibbling effectively is to do it politely and at the very end. Ask for small things that don't cost the other side much but mean a lot to you. Never be greedy. 1 or 2 nibbles are usually enough. Remember, the best time to ask for more is right after they think the deal is finished. Authority leverage. The salesman had already agreed to a great price on the car. Everything was going smoothly until my friend said, "I really like it, but I need to check with my wife first." Suddenly, the salesman's face changed. He knew the deal wasn't closed yet. That's the power of authority leverage. This tactic involves bringing in, or pretending to bring in, a higher authority that must approve the final decision. It gives you more control and often forces the other side to make better offers. You can use it in many situations. When buying something expensive, say, "I like this, but I need to run it by my business partner." When negotiating a salary, tell them, "I'd love to accept, but I need to discuss it with my spouse first." The other party will often sweeten the deal to avoid losing you to that mysterious authority. Even if you're deciding alone, mentioning an invisible higher authority creates pressure and gives you room to negotiate without looking difficult. A powerful variation is using real authority, telling them you need final approval from your boss, accountant, or lawyer. This slows things down in your favor and often leads to better terms. The smartest negotiators rarely make final decisions on the spot. They always have someone, real or fictional, they need to check with. Bogey. A friend of mine was negotiating the purchase of a small business. The seller was very attached to keeping the company van. My friend noticed this and made it his main issue. He kept saying, "Look, the van is really important to me. I need it for deliveries. I can't do the deal without it." He acted like the van was a deal breaker. In reality, he didn't care much about the van at all. This is called the bogey tactic, pretending something is extremely important to you when it's actually not. You use it as a bargaining chip to trade for something you actually want. In the end, my friend reluctantly agreed to leave the van behind, but only if the seller lowered the price by $12,000. The seller happily accepted because he thought he was winning by keeping the van. That's the beauty of bogey. You create artificial importance around something low value to you, then trade it away for real concessions on the things you actually care about. You can use bogey in salary negotiations. "I really need more vacation days." Buying a house, "I must have the furniture included," or freelance deals, "The deadline is non-negotiable for me." The key is to sell it convincingly. Make the other side believe that particular point matters a lot to you. When you finally give it up, they feel like they won something big, and they become much more willing to give you what you really want. Master the bogey, and you'll start winning concessions you never thought were possible. Highball/Lowball. A friend wanted to buy a used motorcycle listed at $9,500. Instead of offering $8,000, he started with a lowball offer of $6,200. The seller looked offended and countered at $9,000. After some back and forth, they settled at $7,800. My friend saved $1,700 simply by starting extremely low. This is the classic highball/lowball tactic, making an opening offer that is deliberately much higher or lower than what you're actually willing to accept. The goal is to shift the entire negotiation range in your favor. When selling, use a highball. Start with a price significantly higher than your target. When buying, use a lowball. Start much lower than what you're willing to pay. This anchors the conversation around your preferred number and makes your real target look like a reasonable compromise. For example, if you want to sell something for $1,000, list it at $1,400. If you want to buy a service for $3,000, offer $2,100 first. The other person will usually meet you somewhere in the middle, which is exactly where you want it to be. The key is to be bold, but not ridiculous. Your opening offer should be ambitious enough to give you room, yet believable enough that the conversation doesn't end immediately. Highball/lowball works because most people hate extremes. When you start far away from the middle, they naturally pull the number closer to what you actually want. Master this tactic, and you'll consistently get better deals in almost every negotiation you enter.